Gary, buddy.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm just a big ball of viruses. I'm Dan Beecher.
Oh, Dan, so sorry to hear that.
Sorry about my voice, everybody. I am in the midst of a plague. I caught the plague.
Maybe you've heard of it.
Yeah, it's been flying under the radar, but some of you astute listeners might recognize the COVID-19 thing.
Oh,
remember when we were just calling it the coronavirus?
Because
we didn't know that everything was a coronavirus.
Yeah, not everything, but all right. Well, Dan, something very big happened this week to a certain televangelist who we love and adore.
Impossible.
And we will be talking about Pat Robertson and his ultimate demise.
You guys, we killed him. We did it. I don't know what power Frank and I have. I think the collective power of all of the priesthood that you and I have given out,
yes,
was summoned when you and I called out his name last week on our 600th episode.
Indeed.
And a little bit of magic happened in the world. I'm just going to say it. And
we'll be getting to that on, like I said, the second half of the show today. First, we have some news, some stuff going on, Dan. Yeah. The first one that I want to talk about is the ongoing saga of Target being a target, I guess. Target the store being a target of the conservatives in this country. Initially over the fact that they had some LGBTQ plus themed products for Pride Month that just caused outrage online.
Especially since a lot of the outrage, of course, coming from the fact that people were making up products that Target didn't actually have.
Correct.
Getting mad about that.
There were children's swimsuits that were
tuck-friendly
swimsuits, and they just didn't have that product. They had a product like that. It was for an adult.
Yeah.
They did not have it in children's sizes. We cannot say that enough.
I'm still outraged, though. I'm outraged that it might have happened, that it was possible that it could happen.
And so anyway, it continues, Dan. This last week, I guess, some images were released online that caused much outrage amongst Christians. These images purportedly showed satanic themed clothing products, as well as a mannequin. It looks like a Target mannequin with a goat head. And the children's clothing. Of course, there was a upside down or a pentagram with a goat head in the middle. Dress, little black, cute little dress for a girl, as well as some red. It's kind of like Target red sweatshirts for boy and girl with these really cute white goat heads with like the Target symbol, that circle with the dot in the middle, the red. Those were the eyes.
Okay.
Right? Really cute. I was like, where can I actually get that
sounds
one?
Like the Lucian Greaves collaboration is going great.
Indeed. Turns out all of them AI generated images.
There's a shock.
Yeah,
from an absolutely unbelievable story, a non-credible story.
I mean,
was definitely believed by a whole bunch of right-wing ding-dongs.
And I think the first clue here that these are fake images or synthetic images, as I've heard them called recently, is that the children don't look happy. I think the children would be delighted to be wearing these clothes.
Absolutely.
It's actually a detail that one of the Facebook outrage people, she noticed this as well. She stated, look at the faces of these children. I feel in my spirit. They even knew there was something satanic with making them be photographed with these clothes on. If you are a Christian and a parent and you shop at Target, Lord have mercy on you. I love it. I feel it in my spirit.
Oh my God.
Your
Can
spirit,
I just say
your spirit just lied to you, sweetheart.
Can I just say how obvious it is, Walton family, that you released these photos? Come on, Walmart. This is an obvious smear campaign, and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Let's see. So
these ding-dongs already shop at your store anyway.
Yeah,
they don't go to Target.
exactly.
Target's too fancy for them.
No, they're really rethinking it. Another Facebook user named Linda wrote, Target has really gone over the edge. Not enough. They are making swimsuits for little boys to tuck. They need to go away too, she says. So she's going to join this boycott. Clearly, she's done. They're just done with it, Dan. They cannot believe it. They're cute little Target with the Studio McGee decorations.
Can I just say, you guys, we can't do these jokes.
What?
The problem with these jokes is they're funny for us. I'm talking about like creating this kind of imagery and putting it out there.
Yeah.
They're funny for us, but they have real consequences on like stores that we need to support. You know what I mean? Like, like the very like organizations that are already trying to swim upstream to get past the the hateful people, like shitting on them. We're just making things worse. We don't do this joke. I get it. I think it's a funny joke, but they're too stupid to actually. Anyway,
if I can have more spaces with fewer Christians of this ilk in them, I'm all for it, Dan.
Yeah.
Like this is the great filtering that's happening in the United States right now that I actually honestly think is a really bad thing. But as long as they're going to be so awful, fine. Don't shop where I shop.
Right.
I'll be okay.
And let's be honest.
And so will Target.
The Target shareholders can afford to take a little hit.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah. I mean,
you're fine. Shut up.
This isn't going to shut down Target. People will keep shopping there. Most people do not care about this kind of outrage. But honestly, wherever I can get that those little sweatshirts, I want one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Is someone producing those?
Yeah. And I also really do have to admit, these are really good AI fakes. Yeah. The one of like the mannequin, I would completely 100% believe that at least was staged somewhere, right?
It's amazing. Yeah, we got to watch out for the AI art and stuff. It's going to be a problem real soon.
I mean, it's one reason why I felt that it's worth bringing up, right? Like we all know that this is out there and that it's happening, but we really do need to be aware of it. And this knife does cut both ways, right? Like we should not be like, it would be fun to create images of, I don't know, Christians up to no good, right? But like we shouldn't do it, right? Like we really need to stay away from like
unless it is a glaringly obvious joke that they still won't understand, but everybody else will. You can't. And also just don't trust any image ever again. You have to check and double check everything.
Yeah, and know where to check.
If anything's too good or too bad to be true, you have to find a reliable source for it.
The Pope wearing a very stylish, very hip, white Balenciaga puffy jacket, probably fake.
If it had been Pope Benedict, maybe.
I would have, I would still believe it's real if it had been Benedict.
They picked the wrong Pope is what they did. Okay, I'm going to take us to, where is this? In Fort Worth, Texas.
Ooh.
Where they have the Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary.
Oh.
A very important institution. We need our Baptists instructed correctly about Jesus and whatnot. Unfortunately, they're not. the Baptists are not getting their educations the way they used to. Literally, they have lost 2/3 of their enrollment since 2002.
Oh, okay.
Meanwhile, expenses have gone up by at least 1/3. So that's, I don't know if you studied math when you were in college, but generally
not that advanced of math. I will say that.
Dropping,
I have a degree in the fine arts. We didn't get that advanced.
Right. So dropping your tuition revenue by 2/3 and having expenses go up by 1/3. That's not great for an institution.
That is a fun word problem, though.
It is,
or at least the start of one.
Yeah. Apparently, they have had it's been like 2 decades of fiscal mismanagement, including now a $140 million operating deficit in that time period.
Wow.
Now, of course, they have an endowment that they've been drawing on and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's not great. That's not how you're supposed to do business. I've got a figure here in front of me that I have to believe was fudged in one figure, because they're saying that they ran an average deficit per year of $6.67 million.
Oh, wow.
I think they may have actually like.
You think they rounded?
They intentionally spent a little more just to make sure it wasn't 6.66. I don't know. Anyway, there have been lots of different people at the helm. One Paige Patterson, we talked about him many years ago. He was fired back in 2018 for mishandling sexual abuse, so he had to leave. Then there was President Adam Greenway, who resigned not long after that in 2022, less than 4 years after he took office. He cited, quote, reputational, legal, and financial challenges as being more than he was willing to fuck around with. So,
oh, wow.
So who knows? It's still going for now, but nobody's going to it. So that's a good sign in my mind.
Indeed. All right, Dan.
Yes.
The Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as they would prefer us to call them.
Mm-hmm. They sure would, those Mormons.
Those Latter-day Saints. Damn. The First Presidency, that's the top group of 3 elderly white men who run the church. They have written and released and had read over the pulpit in all of their, I'm assuming their United States wards, churches, congregations, a letter, Dan.
Oh.
With a warning. They've issued a warning. And I was actually, I don't know if taken aback is the it's not earth shattering. Like this was actually like, I saw this an opinion piece in the Salt Lake Tribune about this, and the writer of it, a staff writer at the Tribune, he took it to mean like that this is sort of a monumental letter. Oh. I didn't take it that far. So the letter is a warning to its members against straight ticket voting.
Oh,
so they're stating that blindly voting for one political party without weighing individual candidates and their stances on important issues is, quote, a threat to democracy and inconsistent with the church's teachings.
What? Does that mean Mitt Romney's going to be running as an independent? What are they planning? What are they up to?
I don't know, but here's the wording. Dear brothers and sisters.
Good.
citizens of the United States have the privilege and duty of electing office holders and influencing public policy, it opens with. And skipping forward, it says some principles compatible with the gospel may be found in various political parties, and members should seek candidates who best embody those principles. Members should also study candidates carefully and vote for those who have demonstrated integrity, compassion, and service to others, regardless of party affiliation. I think they are worried about Donald Trump.
They're saying, don't vote. Look, obviously vote Republican.
Yeah.
Every other way.
Yeah. Don't.
For the love of God, don't vote for a Democrat in like a Senate election or whatever. But Donald Trump's a problem, you guys.
Yeah.
They really lost control of their people.
They have. I don't know how effective this is going to be. And that's the thing that's where I sort of separate from the opinion writer at the Tribune, where he was like, all you have to do is read between the lines here and it's really clear what they're saying and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, yeah, but they're not going to. They're pretty.
Uh-huh.
All the polling nationally says that politics are the thing that people are really entrenched in, right? And people seem to be willing to kind of shift churches now, right, based on their political leanings. And so,
which traditionally, that Mormons would not.
They never would have considered.
Would not be included in that.
Yeah,
but at this moment.
Yeah.
It's not like, here's what's funny. What I see happening is not Mormons leaving Mormonism to follow their political passions. They just believe in a different Mormonism.
I think there's yeah. And I don't know if that turns into an official schism, right? Or if it becomes almost de facto, that you just sort of, the Mormons will continue to filter themselves into sort of geographically, right? That the more open-minded liberal type Mormons will be closer to downtown Salt Lake, and the rest of them will be in Provo. This is also from this letter. It says, merely voting a straight ticket or voting based on tradition without careful study of candidates and their positions on important issues is a threat to democracy and inconsistent with revealed standards. See Doctrine and Covenants 9810. So I actually have Doctrine and Covenants 9810 pulled up.
To be clear, Doctrine and Covenants is one of the Mormon scriptures.
That's true. That's one of the lesser known sort of out
a weird
in the world.
One. It's sort of tacked onto the back of the Book of Mormon, but it's a different thing. And
I wouldn't say it's tacked onto the Book of Mormon. It is a separate book. There's no, so they have
I'm just saying that's where you get it. You don't buy it itself.
Yeah, right. I suppose. So Doctrine and Covenants 9810 says, honest men and wise men should be sought for diligently to run the government. It's worded really poorly. Surprise, surprise. Joseph Smith was almost illiterate. So
he's a poor writer. It's true.
But anyway, so they're really leaning into this. This is widely being touted as the most strongly worded political statement that they've made over the pulpit on this topic ever, right? Of no, not only does the church, the church has been saying forever that we're politically independent, and everybody out there is seeing a wink, wink, right? Whenever we say this, and we're not winking, right?
Well, the problem is that they haven't been saying that they're neutral forever. Do you remember when, I don't think he was president of the church at the time. He was an apostle at the time, but future president of the church, Ezra Benson, actually came out and said, if you vote Democrat, if you don't vote Republican, you're not being a good Mormon.
That is true. That was a really long time ago.
It was a really long time ago. It's true.
Yeah. And he was a sociopath as far as Republicans are concerned. That
John
man,
Birch Society guy.
Yeah, he was super far right. He actually served in the Eisenhower administration.
Was it Eisenhower?
Who else would it have been?
I don't know. Nixon?
I don't think it was Nixon. I think it was Eisenhower. And
he's Secretary of the Agriculture or something.
Correct. Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, that is interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch to see if this causes any shift. My prediction is it will not.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see. We'll have to see. It's
Because-
not like
because-
if Trump becomes the candidate, Utah will go to Trump. That's just
Correct. But I think the way that you would see a shift in this, obviously in big votes like that, but I think the way that you would really see it is if you actually started seeing Mormons run as Democrats in Utah.
I like it.
Right.
I want it.
And I don't know if that's going to happen.
They'll still lose, but people will be confused when they do it. All right. I'm going to take us to your old stomping grounds, Oklahoma.
Oh, no.
Where that's never a good sign.
Don't do it, Dan.
Bad things happen in Oklahoma. There should be a whole new musical about it. The breakdown of the separation of church and state in these United States has been steady over the last several years, including the Supreme Court being now just don't care about church-state separation anymore. And Oklahoma has decided that they are going to push the boundaries as far as they can and see what they can get away with. So, against the advice of the Oklahoma Attorney General, who literally warned a state school board in Oklahoma, the AG said, "Don't do this. It's a very bad idea." Nevertheless, they have agreed to a charter for a school. It is an openly Catholic school, online thing. I think it's
it is all online. Yeah,
an online school.
Uh-huh.
And they have agreed to it. So, and if the courts don't step in, that will be, to be clear, a charter school is still entirely funded by public money. So it is a public school, which is not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to have public schools that are openly religious. That's literally against our Constitution. And as the AG said, if you open this up, he said, quote, "The approval of any publicly funded religious school is contrary to Oklahoma law and not in the best interest of taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely disappointing that board members violated their oath in order to fund religious schools. In doing so, these members have exposed themselves and state to potential legal action that could be costly. But not only that, it means that they can't say no to other charters. They will. They'll definitely say no once Lucian Greaves and the Satanic Temple file their charter, which he has already said they're looking at doing.
Yeah.
Because if the Catholics can do it, why can't the Satanists
do a school? I also saw that there's the Universal Society of Hinduism is considering submitting an application.
They've already filed a thing.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really remarkable that they had such clear guidance from the Oklahoma Attorney General, right?
Yeah.
Who is philosophically largely, I'm sure, on their side.
Yes.
With like, oh, wouldn't it be great? Right.
Right.
But the reality
he's
is
also a lawyer.
The reality is he understands this is bad idea. Right.
Yeah.
Like this is just, you do not know what's coming down the pike. In fact, actually, no, we do know what's going to come down the pike if you do this. Right. And they just wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of just obstinate idiots are these people that they would just be like, no, we're going to do it anyway.
And if this were a reasonable time in American history, I would say, and obviously we know who's going to win on this thing.
Right.
But
we don't
not
know.
a reasonable time, and we have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it may well be that they're fine with being hypocrites, and then they'll do the Christian thing, and then they won't do the the Satanist thing or the Hindu thing or whatever. And then the courts will be okay with that too. For no good reason. Like
Right.
it's a topsy-turvy time here in these United States.
Yes, indeed. Oh, geez, Dan. I've got my next story is not a great one.
Dear.
I guess also I could tie this into something you were just saying about the Supreme Court, which is we've got a crazy one right now.
It's a bit wackadoodle.
One of the crazy things that they've already done was overturning Roe v. Wade, and it's created chaos throughout the country with regards to abortion access and with
and women's health care in general.
Correct. With clinics in some states closing and efforts to open new clinics in nearby states is gearing up, right?
Yeah.
Like they're having to, these providers are having to cross state borders in order to deal with the influx and the increase in demand as women cross the border into neighboring states, like Illinois, which has protected abortion in the Midwest. Unfortunately, it does mean that people have to drive or somehow get themselves there, which is a burden that they should not have to be facing in order to seek care. But we have people who are trying to address this need where they can. And one such place was a clinic that was being constructed in Danville, Illinois, who a couple weeks ago was attacked by a 73-year-old man who repeatedly drove his car into the walls of the building, destroying most of the front lobby and the back of the clinic. Officials said the man was arrested before he got a chance to set the building on fire.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, isn't that great? But the pictures are like just destruction, like pure destruction. Yeah. I don't know what, like he must have dusted off his like 1970s something or other to cause this kind of damage.
His Chrysler Behemoth.
So anyway, then this last Monday, this would be a little over a week ago when, as the show's coming out, another individual attacked the building and some of the repairs that had been done. There were some temporary repairs just to kind of secure the structure to get it closed off from the elements, it sounds like. And this fellow decided that he was going to rip all of those down. So there's temporary repairs that have been done to the back wall of the building. And it looks like he was trying to get into the building as well. So now there is a GoFundMe that's been put up by the Affirmative Care Solutions Midwest Reproductive Freedom Fighters, I guess. Yeah. And they're trying to raise money because now they obviously need to hire. Not only do they need to repair this building and finish the work, they need to hire security guards and fortify the structure.
Here's the thing.
Insane.
I feel really bad for these people because they have been whipped into a frenzy by their news outlets, by their pastors.
Yeah.
They believe that murder is happening large scale at these buildings, which is not what's happening. They're just made to believe that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And they feel powerless, and they feel, and they're someone's yelling at them about it day in, day out, week in, week out. And they feel like they need to do something. I feel for them. I think, and I don't I don't want them to be shot by some security guard or whatever. So I think these clinics should develop a defense system that's like a fire hose that they claim is full of fetal stem cells that they're just going to spray everybody with if they come and attack them.
You just got finished saying that we shouldn't be playing the game of making deep fakes and whatnot.
Oh, Lord.
No, I mean, that we could, Dan. Some slurry of some kind.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably just the slime from the old days at Nickelodeon or whatever.
But let's apply some correct terminology here.
Yeah. Okay.
These are domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
I think that it's important I applaud you for trying to see the humanity in what's happening right now. But these are people who have been, as you're saying,
radicalized.
Yeah. And they've taken up an effort to terrorize. I'm sorry, driving your vehicle into and destroying part of a building is domestic terrorism. And it needs to be called out as such, and it needs to be dealt with as such. Like this,
I guess my issue is not in not calling it that. I think you're absolutely right. That is what this is. The problem is no one's going after the leaders. No one's going after the Osama bin Ladens of this domestic terrorism cell.
Well, if we can start getting domestic terrorism as a term to stick to these kind of actions, I think then that's a logical next step, is to then look for the sources, right? Like look for the people who are stirring all of this up, because we cannot live in this society. This cannot be allowed to continue. And, like, I know they're feeling very emboldened right now. And, but this also just doesn't feel like the act of somebody who feels like they're winning. Right.
Right.
Like I don't get where their heads are, because they're clearly, okay, on the state level, they I guess they haven't won yet in their minds, because it is still allowed in certain places, but they got their big thing. They got the thing that they said they wanted. And Roe v. Wade got struck down, right? That's all they ever wanted. But I think what they really wanted was for the Supreme Court at the exact same time to say it's illegal everywhere.
Yeah.
And that obviously didn't happen. So
it's scary. It's a weird time. I'm going to close this out on a lighter note, I think.
Oh, good. We need that.
Do you remember that we had two popes for a good long while there?
Pope 1, Pope 2.
We had one pope too many. Maybe we had two popes too many. That's a matter of question. But definitely we had more than a normal number of popes for a little bit, because Pope Benedict the 16th, I think, he retired instead of dying out of the role, which he was supposed to do. But die he did eventually, and that has caused a very odd thing to happen, which is that he was not a poor man. He was not like those monks that take a vow of poverty. Oh no, he had very comfortable salaries and then pensions from some universities where he taught theology.
Oh,
he had,
of course,
books that he sold that had done quite well. There's a sum of money. And normally when a pope dies, their money goes to the Holy See. But because he wasn't technically pope when he died, things got a little weird.
Really?
And they determined that legally his money could be inherited. He didn't have any children, of course, that we know about. But he had cousins.
Oh, okay.
And technically they could inherit the money. Now, they were all informed of this. They were all in Germany because he was Cardinal Ratzinger before he was the Pope. And he's a German. And so the people at the Holy See, specifically one Archbishop Georg Genschwein, who was the executor of the will, started to call up first cousins to say, hey, congratulations, you could get this money. There's a catch, though, and they all seem to know it. And the catch is that if you inherit money from an estate, you also inherit the liability of that estate for any pending legal actions or lawsuits or whatever.
Oh.
Any legal claims against the deceased then also fall to you, and everybody is turning down the money. Now, they don't know how much it is, but they're all like, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. Thanks, guys. Because, if you'll recall, there are several actions in process right now, or at least one action in process and several more potential from when he was a cardinal, or maybe it was an archbishop, when he was an archbishop, and he started, he did the pedophile shuffle with some of his, some of the guys under him.
Oh, that's so ripe for a joke, and I just can't.
That was a joke, and I probably shouldn't have done it. Okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. I'm sorry. We're not making light of the pedophilia.
No, not at all. It was just sitting there, Dan.
But we have to laugh to not cry. There are like lawsuits pending. Now, those lawsuits should be mostly against the church because that's where the deepest pockets are, but they're also against Ratzinger himself. So the family will all thankfully decline.
Is that why the church doesn't want it? This must be bad stuff because the church doesn't want this liability either, Dan. They're like,
the church has got it, whether they want it or not.
Let's just can we offload some of this liability? How do we offload it? Well, we could make his estate inheritable. Let's do that. Oh, God.
What's it going to take to put you in this inheritance today?
Oh, golly. Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. So you take on all the, so God, that's a shame. What's going to happen to this money?
Right? Cousin Pope, not a popular guy, apparently. Don't take the money. It's a trick. Yeah. Don't take it.
They're like, there's that one Hummel figurine I would like, but
there's got to be one cousin who has cancer and just wants to go out with a bang.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you do.
That is what you do. Yeah.
Like there's got to be, he was 111 years old. There's got to be an 87-year-old cousin who's like, oh, I'm having a party. Let him try and get me legally. I'm going to spend it and die. Anyway. So there you go. If you would like to comment on this or any of the things that we've talked about today, please feel free to reach out to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up. Dan?
Yes?
So I got a little clip I want to play for you. A little bit of audio from this week. This is from a source that we tend not to play a lot from because, I don't know, usually there's not crazy preachers on. But yeah, Fox News. But they obviously espouse Christian nationalist beliefs, I suppose, over there at the Fox News.
Christian values.
Good Christian values, of course. So here's a clip of a Fox News host by the name of Rachel Campos Duffy. If you don't know who she is, that's fine. I really don't either.
I've never heard of her in my life. It's weird, though. She's on Fox and she's a brunette, which makes me suspicious. But okay.
Let's see. So this is on Sundays. Fox and Friends program. So It's not the normal Fox and Friends crew, but it's the same setup where there's three people, two men and a woman sitting on a couch.
Same Fox, different friends.
And she's just saying it. She's like, she lives in this world where Republicans are righteous, religious people. And Democrats are godless, evil people.
Yeah.
And
disgusting scum of the earth.
And she has a theory about why, and I think this is probably a widely held theory amongst people who think like her, about why Democrats would care about things like the environment and making things better in this life.
What a bunch of idiots. All right, let's hear her say it.
It's so easy to characterize faith as constraining and limiting to you, but when you actually, it is entirely liberating, and it creates a sense of freedom that it's not all on you. I'm not perfect. I don't act perfectly, and I can't perfect other people. It's an amazing...
It changes the way you look even at politics. So
for sure. Yes.
It truly does. And sometimes, we look at how hard on the left they play. They really play for keeps. They play in a way that's very, a lot of times conservatives look at it and go, well, why don't we play as hard as them? Well, for them, where we live right now, this place, Earth, is it. So everything's on the line here for them. They think, as you said, they can perfect this Earth. Those of us who have faith don't believe that, and we believe how we act here determines where we go after. And so we had to behave. And so even in politics, we don't, we act within those moral limits. And, the ends justify the means is sort of the rules for radicals, right? That's not how Christians act.
If you believe your personal political opinions are on par with the highest of the hierarchies and, equal to faith and religion, then you will go to some of the links that we have seen.
We're made for religion. So if you don't have a faith, whether it's Hindu, Islam, Christianity, you're going to create one, and it could be climate or it could be yourself, as you mentioned.
And our system, as our founders repeatedly said, was made for a religious people and entirely incapable for another.
Our system is entirely incapable for non-religious people.
It's wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please explain. I love how they are allowed, and by they, I kind of mean that entire side of the political spectrum, meaning the extreme right. They're just allowed to say sentences and then no one requires them to back anything up.
Why would they? Like, these are all people of faith.
Just keep saying sentences.
You just have to feel good about it. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be backed up.
Right. You just make claims.
Yeah. I love, though, this idea that faith gives you freedom. Right. Oh, it's just liberating to have faith. And it's like, yeah, I guess ignoring reality probably feels pretty liberating. Right. Like if not being tethered to facts is, wow. Yeah. You're free just to roam, aren't you? Like,
Lordy
at that point.
Mama. It's so, that literally, if you believe in magic and that there's a perfect person who's eventually going to solve all of the problems, it frees you not to have to think about the problems. So I guess that's real nice.
And like their belief in God makes them behave and have sort of limits to what they do politically is so wildly laughable and just...
They're so talking
crazy
about how the left fights so hard and the right just lackadaisically sits around not doing anything. What are you fucking talking about?
Oh, it's amazing.
Did you see January 6th?
January 6th. Have you seen the results of a 40-year project to shift the Supreme Court to a radical religious vision of America?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Literally, you guys have caught the left snoozing for 40 years.
Yeah.
But I love that they're pushing the opposite narrative. That's insane.
Yeah. That's really amazing.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, we had some of our dear listeners write into us
and
call as well. We've got Caleb who wrote in, "Hey Frank and Dan and Frank, I can relate to your thoughts in the last episode about what people would think if the LDS Church did actual charity with their pile of gold. When I was still religious, I was very proud of the charitable organizations associated with my sect. The Seventh-day Adventists have ARDA, Marantha, Gospel Outreach, and I feel there are some more. At the time, I was proud to pay tithe and offering because I thought it went to help people in the third world get access to food, clean water, Jesus, yikes, shelter, education, etc. In fact, my grandpa was just telling me the other day about a mission he went on to Idaho with Marantha. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm just guessing. And I couldn't help wondering if I should still be donating. Who knows? Maybe I'm still a little brainwashed. I know they're one of the richest flavors of Christianity with all their schools and hospitals and such. I'm sure they thought they were until the whole LDS thing. Yeah. Here's the thing. Do not give to religious charities.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you they're not doing as much good as they told you they were doing.
Correct.
I promise you they're not.
Yeah. And also the good is all sort of like laced with Christianity.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not.
It comes with caveats
Yeah.
and provisos about like.
It's the whole like showing up at a soup kitchen and you have to like sit through a little sermon and a prayer, right?
Yeah.
Just to get food because you're, otherwise would starve. Right.
I think it's great to want to give.
Great.
I think that's fantastic. And there are so many really good secular organizations to give to.
I would admire a Christian soup kitchen that just fed people, but that's not what it is.
Yeah.
It's feeding and preaching at, right?
And we can say this reasonably confidently, having done zero research into ADRA, Marantha, Gospel Outreach. I've done no research into them. I promise you someone will write into us this week, a former Seventh-day Adventist, who can tell us, oh yeah, it's nowhere near what they're claiming it is.
Yeah.
Because it never is.
Yeah.
Ever. Never give to the Salvation Army.
Oh, never them. They're awful.
I mean, it's like a lot of, they do good. Let's be clear. To be perfectly clear, they do good in the world, but the percent of the money that goes toward good versus the percent of money that goes toward proselytizing or like further marginalizing LGBTQ or whatever makes it not worth it.
Correct.
That money could go to a secular group that does only good, or like, all of their charity is actual charity and none of it is Jesusing. And then you're doing, 30% better good in the world with your money.
Sounds good to me. That's the point. Yeah. All right.
We have a voicemail, do we not?
We do. Sort of a question. Somebody looking for a tip, some suggestions from us.
Oh, great. Let's listen in.
Hey, Frank and Dan. This is Yulan calling. I just wanted to congratulate you guys on the 600th episode. I wasn't able to make it to the Q&A session, so I thought I'd ask you a question here on voicemail. I've been listening to you guys since episode 1 when I was living in much more religiously censored country, shall we say. And I'm now living in Houston, Texas, been here for a year. And I wanted to know which is the best crazy church that I can visit as a tourist. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to your suggestions and I can make it as one of my activities while living in the US. Thank you very much. Absolutely love you guys. Have kept me sane over the years and hope for another 600th episode at least. Thank you very much. Love you guys. Bye.
Well, I think the name I heard was Yulan. Does that sound right to you, Frank?
That sounds what I like. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that call. I think that's wonderful. I love the idea that you went from a more religiously like uptight place to Houston. I feel like that might have been a lateral move. I'm not sure. But nevertheless, welcome. Congratulations on coming to the U.S. Things are not great here. Anyway, churches that you could go to
as a tourist.
Here's the thing. You're in Houston. that is Osteen country.
Yeah.
So you could go and try and check. Here's one thing that I would say is probably a guideline. You're not allowed to spend any money. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't want these assholes to get any of your money.
Do you have to pay to get in to?
I don't think
Osteen's
so.
church?
I don't know. It'll be a shit show getting in. It's an arena that he has,
Like a big sports arena.
yeah. But that might be worth giving a shot. If you can figure out how to get in and whatever. But any old, there's also like, we obviously don't live in Houston, but there are crazy places. You could go find some Pentecostal like nutball place
There
and hear some real hooting and hollering.
in the right part of the country, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be lively. But that would be definitely like any kind of like, yeah, I mean, you're in the Texas, I'm sure has a lot of like that.
There's like mega church stuff.
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
You
And
know what
just,
there
like,
is?
the really fun, like you need a church with a fun choir. You need like, that is an
There you go.
experience to go see.
Go find yourself a black church.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna be the fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the good stuff. Do not go. Do you remember, Frank, when you and I went on our road trip through the South?
Mm-hmm.
Outside of Houston, we actually locked we went to sort of, we saw on the side of the road it's in Houston somewhere. We saw a church and we were like, what is that thing? So we better pull over. So we pulled over and then we locked ourselves out of the van.
Oh yeah.
At a La Luz del Mundo church.
Don't worry about that one. That one's
Don't
just
go to that one.
creepo.
The main guy is like in jail now, and there's a whole bunch of problems there. But you may have driven past the church. It's fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thanks for the audio, for the voicemail. That was great. Linda wrote into us to ask, did you guys see the CBS Sunday Morning episode about the Great Salt Lake drying up?
I did.
It's happening quickly, and even if you don't give a shit about the birds, there is arsenic and other toxic. Listen, we're keenly aware of the fact that there's basically a toxic bomb threatening to go off. All over us. Yeah.
The state of the lake comes up in conversation all of the time here.
Fortunately,
Like, it comes up all the time.
Though we're still in a drought here in Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
or here in Utah in general, this has been a particularly wet year.
Yeah.
Like the wettest year that we've ever seen
Yeah.
since the Mesozoic period or whatever.
The lake is at least at the moment doing okay. This year bought us some time, and I drove out past it just the other day on I-80, and it's up quite a bit.
For those of you who don't know, if what Linda's referring to is that if this lake does continue to recede as it has been, because we have a terminal lake, this lake doesn't empty out into anything.
Right.
All of the water in sort of our region just pours into this lake and stops.
Yeah, but not enough of the water has been.
Agriculture and everybody's been using the water, and there hasn't been enough coming down from Jesus to replenish. And so it has been drying and drying and drying. And there's a lot of like really nasty toxic shit in the lake bed that a really bad windstorm could just pick up and dump into our air, and then we're all really fucked.
Yeah. But I saw that episode of CBS Sunday Morning, and the marina, if anybody who saw it, if you'll recall, he goes out to the marina and there's like no water and all the boats are out. The boats are back in temporarily. So like that, it's a remarkable amount of water that's gone into the lake this year. Like it's up like 8 8 or 9 feet at this point or something ridiculous.
Which is crazy because in the Great Salt Lake has such a gentle grade that means that the water level has come out. If it goes up 8 feet, it comes out like 400 feet or something crazy.
And it is like the size of the lake. It's just absolutely massive. So I can't even comprehend how much water that is.
Indeed.
It's a huge amount of water.
I should say, Linda goes on to say, I would love to see the LDS Church be forced to spend their ridiculous stockpile of money to trying to save that piece of the planet. I don't know that that's what would happen. I don't think anyone will ask it. I don't think because our politics is
yeah. I mean, so it's a drop in the bucket, let's say. But the church did make a sizable water contribution to the lake. They gave some shares of the water that flows out of, I think, Bear River. I might be wrong about that flows into the lake. They gave those to this sort of nascent entity that is going to be able to actually hold water rights for the lake, which it's never been able to in the past. It's very complicated, weird water rights issues stuff. But they said that this was the first of many gifts, but it was the easiest and most obvious one for them to give because it's actually these rights are at basically the mouth of the river. And so they know that nobody else is going to be able to capture these rights.
Interesting.
Right. Like, because that's the problem is a lot of people are leery to give up their rights of. Anyway, I could keep going for a long time. And this is Thank God I'm Atheist, thank God the lake might actually survive.
Thank God it's the Great Salt Lake. Anyway, thanks for writing in, Linda. We could go on about this for a long, long time. So probably best that we move on. Brian and others wrote into us about a certain topic, and we're gonna it's not going to be our springboard, but it'll be a teaser for what's to come.
What's coming next? Yeah.
Brian wrote, I think you guys can take full responsibility for Pat Robertson's demise after your 600th episode comments. Good job. Let's see what you can do about Putin, Kim Jong-un, and Trump. Please keep this going. Another listener had the same idea and said, can you talk about how surprised you guys are that Kenneth Copeland is still alive next week? Yeah. We did talk about Patty Boy. We hadn't talked about him for a while, and then he died. Coincidence? I think not. So yes, we'll get to more of that later on. Do we have some folks to thank before we do that?
We do indeed, Dan. We actually have a couple new patrons over on Patreon. We have a new teacher by the name of Rob.
Well done, Rob.
Welcome, Rob. And we have a new elder by the name of Gunkle Mike.
Gunkle Mike, way to make it into the Melchizedek priesthood. You guys both have new magic powers that apparently I think we can now confidently say can be used to kill prominent pastors out in the world. So that's good.
And we also had somebody increase their pledge. Up to the prophet, seer, and revelator level.
We got a new prophet.
Prophet Joseph, not the first, but Prophet Joseph the second, maybe. Yeah, and then as always, Dan, we do have our top patron, our Lord and Savior. It's somebody new, but actually not new. We're going back to somebody. Davis!
Davis! Woohoo! Well done.
If you'd like to join them, please do. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab.
More show coming up. Franklin.
Dan?
It is a time of national mourning.
And maybe some celebration.
And a little bit of schadenfreude, or maybe all of the schadenfreude in the world. It's time for a fuck eulogy.
Oh, no. Yeah, Pat Robertson, everybody, if you haven't heard, is dead.
Gordon, for his friends.
I thought it was Marion.
Oh yeah, I don't know what it is. I thought it was Gordon.
Maybe it's Gordon Marion Gordon.
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, who knows? But he's dead. That's what we do know.
Yeah. Finally, he was 190 years old.
He was 93.
I'll tell you what, the painting of him that has been like getting ill. I'm trying to do a Dorian Gray thing, but no, he was aging. So what am I thinking?
There's a
very young painting of him
that stayed the same.
Young.
That's quite the Dorian Gray joke. He pulled a reverse Dorian Gray.
It happened. Marion Gordon, we were both right.
All right. Well, yeah, so his portrait not looking so good these days. But he's passed, and it's given us a moment to maybe reflect on a life well lived.
Oh my God.
And the damage that he did to this country.
The world has lost some of its best jowls. Can we just say that?
Oh, golly. No, he did some real damage with that whole CBN crap.
Oh my God.
Christian Broadcasting Network.
I think he is one of the architects of the shit that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Like the combining of like Republican Party politics and nutball Protestant evangelical Christianity happened on purpose, and he was one of the key architects of that happening.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, real nice. He was a weird one. He is one of the guys that blamed 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina on gay people and women who have abortions. But then also every now and then he would be like, "Oh no, the tornadoes that are hitting, that's not God. That's just look. Let me explain weather phenomenon." And then he went into a meteorological dissertation.
Yeah. He was a strange one. I saw a clip of him not too long ago when he was still hosting the 700 Club, of him talking about potentially getting AIDS from HIV AIDS from towels. And
right.
People that don't go to San Francisco because they'll shake your hand and they'll be wearing a ring that will slice you and give you AIDS.
That's right.
And
that's right. They've got AIDS, purposefully AIDS giving.
Yeah. That's
ring prickers.
Yeah. And that's what the homosexuals do, right? And these are
bizarro James Bond world was he living in?
Well, but these were urban legends that I remember hearing similar sorts of things when I was a child in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
These were things that people said, right? I remember the one that circulated around where I lived at the time was never get if you buy soda from a machine, be sure to use exact change. Or just leave the change in the machine, because if you reach in there might be a razor blade with AIDS on it.
Oh my God.
Right. And it's just what the fuck? Well, why isn't there just shards of glass with AIDS in it, all around the soda? Right. That's a place where I'm reaching in too. This is you guys are just these little urban legends circulated everywhere. And, this 90-year-old man was still spreading them on the air,
Pat,
as of
buddy,
3 years ago.
Literally, if the gay community was out killing people and giving people AIDS, you would have died a long time ago. You would have been a target, buddy. You wouldn't have made it to 90. They would have got you.
Yeah.
If that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a guy. Yeah, he was a nutball.
Yeah, and we can really thank him for a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
So but here's the deal. I saw a lot of celebrating online, right? I saw a lot of people sort of cheering and being very excited. The news, it was big news to share, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of, ding dong, the witch is dead and blah, 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 that sort of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, at 93, like we could have, the celebration for this man dying was 30 years ago, right? Like,
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, wow. I'm celebrating and I'm so excited that a 93-year-old died. That,
Yeah.
like not exactly surprising that this happened, right? Like
No.
it's nice to know that the thing that is going to happen to all of us, death, just happened naturally to this guy, right? Cool.
Yeah. And he
Great.
had definitely slowed down. He was probably not doing much harm anymore.
Yeah.
But Frank, we can celebrate the end of the absolute final end of an era of evil. Like I hear
Can we I remember a certain Scalia dying, right? And woohoo, Antonin Scalia, he's dead. Whoa, this is awesome. Oh, cool. Now Clarence Thomas has space to spread his evil in the world, and he has like the supermajority on the Supreme Court. Like sometimes when these people die, there's something worse is about to happen. I don't want to be a pessimist, right? But
You're being a pessimist, Frank. It's happening.
I just like, okay, cool. Like there was the moment when I heard this news on what was it, Thursday, right? Like I was like, oh yeah, oh cool. Finally, right?
Yeah.
Finally. I thought he was never gonna die. And then it's like, well, cool.
Okay.
He got to live 93 years.
It's funny when you told me that you had a take for this. I thought maybe it was going to be about, civility or, give the family some time to mourn before we really shit on him.
No.
I did not see the world's going to get fucking worse and this means nothing. Like the nihilism of your take was not what I was predicting. So, okay.
I'm not saying it's going to get worse. I'm just saying I won't be surprised when it does.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we've gotten used to at this point, right? But okay. Frank wants to bring us all down.
It didn't feel as good as I thought it would, Dan. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, man. Yeah, there you go. It's a disappointing time for all of us. Will somebody please start getting to some of these assholes earlier? I think the age rings aren't working, guys. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Died of old age. Great.
Yeah. You're right. But the problem is that we don't believe in magic.
I know.
And we don't believe in killing the guys.
Right.
So it's like, that's what we get.
Right.
And we don't get anything good.
We don't even get the satisfaction of knowing that they got to realize, right, in their death that they were wrong. Right. Like, because at least like if you're a believer and like you're some sort of like, Mormon who hates some, Catholic over there, you're like, oh, when that asshole dies, he gets to find out that I'm right and he's been wrong. Right.
Right.
And we just don't fucking get that. And that
the smug satisfaction that they all get. I saw plenty of people online going, oh, now is the time I wish hell was real.
Yeah.
Now is the time.
I guess that's a similar sentiment. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, well, we're not them. So we will just have to deal with our lives are good. I'm happy that I'm glad he's dead. I don't care about him anymore. And we'll fight the good fight. We'll keep going. But for right now, I'm just glad we don't have to hear that voice anymore.
Until we play some clip of it.
Until we play another clip. Well, who knows? We may dip back into that well. You never know. But there you go. He's over. Our show's over. Let's just call it a day. If you would like to write into us and tell Frank how his take made you feel, you're welcome to do so. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the email address.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button. That's the one.
Or maybe go and join one of our members only lounges. They're awesome. There's one on Facebook. There's one over on Discord. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members only.
Yeah, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We sure do appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Hey, I did a whole show with COVID.